Okay, there we go.
Two children to take
What's
care of.
bumping in there?
It's Matthew.
I thought the dog was in there.
He's doing that right there.
But so anyway, here's the
I
dog.
believe they believed that. I had two children.
Yeah, on the
Threw the
weekend.
fastball right past us.
He had them all the time, but it was
Well,
the
Lynn
weekend.
was off
Yeah.
Lynn was off at college, and Johnny was 13. But anyway, everybody would say, Boots, why don't you come over and have dinner with us this weekend and bring John? And I said, well, I never see him on the weekends. And so about that time, Heath Alexander asked me out for dinner, and then a couple of times, and then he said, Boots,
Who was a football star.
he said, do you like...
Was he?
He was a big athlete, but I think it was golf. But anyway, he said, Boots, do you like basketball? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, will you go to the ACC basketball tournament with me? And at that time, it was 3 weekends in a row. And I said, yes, I'd love to. Well, in the meantime, John and I were flying in his airplane, and you told me...
Victor Borger was coming to town.
Yeah, you tell them.
Victor Borger, he said, Lucy, I want to take you and the girls and my children to hear Victor Borger this weekend at the Charlotte Coliseum. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry I can't go this weekend. And he said, oh, well, I think he's going to be there 2 weekends in a row. And I said, oh, well, I can't do it next weekend either.
Tied up 3 weekends.
I said, I'm tied up 3 weekends. And it was just dead silence.
He didn't like hearing
In the
that.
airplane.
And what did you say?
What in the hell are you doing 3 weekends in a row?
I've never heard this version.
I didn't want that form thing. And so,
Well, the grandchildren will say, what the heck are you doing?
so anyway, I said, well, Heath Alexander has asked me to go to the ACC basketball tournament 3 weekends in a row, and he knew of Heath Alexander. And then he was quiet for a long time, and before the plane landed, he said, Bootsy, he said, I want you to call Heath Alexander when you get home and tell him what?
Tell him you can't go to the ACC basketball tournament because you're engaged.
Romantic.
Is that
Romantic.
Yeah.
So
And
good.
he said that pastor the other week that prayed for you, he said you were the leader and the patriarch, and that he could tell you were, what was it?
The authority, spiritual authority.
The spiritual authority. See, you were authoritative even back then.
Yeah.
You're
He just
engaged.
claimed
You
it.
just
He
don't
claimed
know
it.
it.
Not thank you so much for marrying me,
But you're busy.
tell me.
Tell the story
All
about
right,
New
so
York.
then we
You're
got to
engaged.
New York, and we were so in love, and we went and picked out the ring, and it was being appraised, and we were walking down Fifth Avenue, and it was pouring down rain, and we didn't care, and we were just walking along so in love, and then all of a sudden, this beautiful woman approached, and in my eyes, I can think back, and it looked like she had on a white, long raincoat with fur around the top of it and long blonde page boy hair, and she said, John Carter, and he said, Catherine, and they embraced right there in the, and I was standing there like a little pitiful thing, and he said, Catherine, I want you to meet, and he could not get my name out. And I finally had to say,
Wait a minute. Time
I'm
out.
so flabbergasted.
because she didn't know that.
That's a yes.
It's true. You couldn't
Story,
remember.
yeah.
Oh,
This is,
and I had to say, I'm Boots Stickley. So anyway, after
you said John's fiance.
we left, I cried, and I told him that I didn't think we should get married because I'd already had one husband that had gone off with someone else, and I didn't want to go through any kind of existence like that again. And Daddy cried and said,
Oh!
He made it.
So it was all great.
It's authoritative.
Hey,
In the right
man
moment.
knows when to take control and when to shut it
Yeah.
down.
But she was a beautiful, and she was very, very rich. But John did not want to get in that social scene in Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem. She married a prince.
Wow.
Really?
So
Short
so
time
Mama.
after we were married.
That's right. Mama married Prince too.
It's all
Real
there.
prince.
Next to there's King Charles
He's
Carter.
dead now.
Charles
Oh,
Carter.
John, you
That's
should
wrong.
tell that one story about
That's the
the
other
Carter
Carter.
brothers.
That's the rich Carter
Remember,
of
the King
Virginia.
Carter gave, King of England gave King Carter Virginia.
Virginia.
Oh,
And
yeah.
your kid got what's
Yeah.
left.
This is cute.
Oh, what was their names? Oh, Sir
Charles
Charles
and Sir
Carter and
King.
Sir King Carter.
For real?
King,
Yeah.
yeah, this is true.
For real.
I don't know how the subject came up, but my relative was Sir Charles Carter, and he was the one who lost it all.
Good for nothing.
And he ended up poor as he could be.
And King
And
Carter,
King Carter owned all of
Virginia.
Virginia.
So isn't that a wild
Like King of
thing?
England, kind of.
King of
King of
England
England.
gave
The two
the
brothers,
man named King Carter
King Carter,
And
okay.
and
his
Charles Carter.
Virginia.
They split it up half and half.
And Charles squandered it.
Charles Carter squandered it away.
That was our line.
King took it all.
How about that?
Isn't
Isn't
that
that
amazing?
something?
That's a true story.
So, I guess that's all our funny stories.
Oh, I'm sure there are so many more.
We had a lot more, but this is 40 years this summer of wonderful
20 years.
2 more
days.
weeks? 2, 3 more weeks?
Yeah,
Well,
20
I was married 12, 13
13 years.
Then was single for some years.
10 years. You were single 10 years.
Yep, about 8.
Daddy, how many girlfriends?
Uh-oh.
We don't want to get
How
that
many
down.
girlfriends?
I don't want to hear.
Yeah, I'm upset even after how many years I
Ask
was
them.
On what
What else
bill?
did?
Well, he had a lot of them, I'll tell you. And I,
He's quite
didn't,
the man about town, huh?
and I think the only way I got him is that I didn't,
You didn't
no,
try
I didn't
to-
try to get him.
Right.
Because I didn't think,
He had a shot.
Well,
He was
I wanted
interested.
to ask Boots to marry me from early when I met her, but I just didn't want to take all those kids. And so I just put it off till finally I broke down that day.
And the rest is history.
Loser.
isn't
That was 40 years ago.
Yeah, 41.
Close the deal.
Wow.
41 years ago.
Good for you.
And then I remember he kept saying, that we could get married in July, and that was March. And we did, and we moved to Salisbury and started living there, and then we had,
When you
then
get
we had
It
Gwenny.
sounds like you started living there before you were married.
No,
You
I
didn't.
mean, after our marriage, we moved to Salisbury.
And then-
Lived right behind the hospital, and had Gwen. I remember when we had Gwenny that we practically walked home from the hospital, didn't we? We lived so
Well, he
close.
was in
We
Chicago
Where all you
because
lived? I know you lived
because,
right. You lived right behind the hospital, and I know you lived over on Richmond
were on
Road.
Richmond Road, and
Yeah.
then that was it.
but when
We
you
were gonna build over on the golf course.
when you weren't there when Woody was born because Busby,
Trent.
you were going off to a trade show in Chicago, if I get the
I was
story
going
right.
to the furniture market
Yeah.
in Chicago, and Bruce was pregnant, and I didn't know anything about
He called Trent and
He
said,
birth being right away, but I took off one morning, and when I got to Chicago, there was a message there from Dr. Busby that we had a child, or he was delivering a child or something,
I was in labor.
and I had to turn right around and come back home.
And Trent thought that was funny.
Yeah, he thought that
Good
was
for you.
funny as hell. I thought he was a nut.
And